Hello, it's Rich here, and welcome to day 22 of 28 Days Demo to Success. I can't believe how far we have come. If you're just joining us for this one today, this evening, well, you're in for an absolute treat, because irrespective of what's been covered so far, I'm going to make sure you've got enough context to be able to get the most out of this tonight, because tonight is about how to deliver amazing lecture demonstrations, about how to do lecture demos, how to give presentations. Why do we as hypnotists, as people who want to be excellent and as excellent experts in our industry, why do we need a whole masterclass on how to deliver presentations and lecture demos? Well, look, my approach is all about the rich system, rapid instant change hypnosis. Is about having a full end-to-end customer service, a real eye on customer service and consistency in our industry, so that everything from the marketing to our websites, promotional material, the way we have a consultation, the way we see our clients, is just done very, very consistently, very powerfully, very strongly. And everything, we are looking at everything as a suggestion that could potentially support creating a deeper context in which change can occur. And we know from studies of the placebo effects that once suggestion is heightened, the statistically, that part of the brain that gets triggered into accepting a new reality, it can happen very easily. And ideally, we want to get as much of that done, that response potential built up, that triggering inside the mind of positive expectancy before anyone comes along to even see us. Now, how are we going to do that? How are we going to understand the hypnosis of marketing to be able to build up our business? Because of course, if we don't know how to influence it, we don't have flexibility in our hypnotherapeutic repertoire or in hypnotic repertoire, we're not going to be able to get enough clients in. And this is something I struggled with for many, many years. I didn't understand about marketing, and I spent my time studying technique, getting very good and studying more techniques and developing a wide range of approaches, but without the integrated customer service, marketing side of it, business side of it. So this is built in to be something wonderful, and I think that one of the reasons that we want to look at lecture demonstrations and lecture demos is this is a way in which you can really build relationships with people. There's nothing like getting in front of people and meeting them one-to-one to build rapport and trust. And yes, there's lots of different ways in which we can market, but tomorrow we're going to do how to write a press release, and we're going to actually do that together. Okay, so we'll go through that process. You'll have a pen and paper, and we'll go through and we'll do that really, really quickly. You'll be amazed at how quickly with pen and paper, not only that, but pen and paper, how quickly we're going to go through and how we're going to get that draft done. But press releases are free. They can give you massive exposure, build credibility. That's pretty obvious. Lecture demos are a really cool marketing tool because they're free, and there are places all over the country in your community that are, my mother-in-law was telling me of the women's use in a tiny little village, and there's women's institutes there. There's institutes for men who've retired. They're just all types of organisations and Rotary clubs and business clubs where they want speakers to come in at lunchtimes and the evenings. So my friend Stuart goes to assemblies and schools and parents groups all over the place. They're screaming out for people to come and give presentations, and you can go and pick that is completely relevant to that audience, and you can go and really interest them, entertain them, fascinate them, which is what this is all about. So tonight I'm going to show you one of the core marketing tools you want to do. I mean, I've spoken with a lot of people who've been very successful in hypnosis and in their industry, and they'll typically tell you some things like building relationships, having a mailing list, contacting people regularly, using AWeber, using responders, that sort of thing. But they'll talk about group hypnotherapy sessions. They'll also talk about delivering lecture demos and presentations. And I think this is essential. This is a skill that you need to be able to have, so that as and when you are called upon to do that, you feel confident. And what I've discovered over the years in working with lots of clients and doing this myself and seeing other people, other colleagues in the industry, anyone who lacks confidence in being able to deliver a lecture demo simply needs to learn, by and large, the right strategy to do that. Once you know how to use your physiology, how to prepare your mind, once you know actually how to prepare and actually how to run through the full sequence that you're going to run through of how to deliver a lecture demo, it can take away the vast majority of the stress. So I'm going to show you some really cool things tonight that's going to bring together a lot of material for you. We're going to cover a lot of ground, but it's actually very simple, it's very straightforward. It is paint by numbers, a real simple sequence you can go through. I will give you examples as we go so that you can really integrate this inside. You can take this inside, you can start to feel confident. Even just the section on how to prepare yourself to be in the right physiology so that you can be perceived as an authoritative expert in your field, and you can feel confident inside. You're going to love that, because we're going to make sure that everything is prepared. Remember, just like when we're seeing a client, we don't just see a client cold, yeah? We have a consultation with them. They have seen our marketing materials. We'll then work with them when they come. We'll do some convinces with them. We're not just going to launch straight into the therapy, because that part of their mind, that expectancy, is not primed. So don't worry, tonight we're going to make sure that there are some fantastic examples for you, and you'll have lots of experiences, opportunities to see how simply we can start to construct these together. And you'll be able to have fun with language doing this, but honestly, the amount of preparation that you're going to need to do and go and deliver lecture demonstrations is pretty minimal. Okay, you're not going to need lots of notes and facts and figures. You can have one or two things. You can have one or two sheets of paper with a couple of, if you want to do a couple of recent research paper articles or something like that, you could do that. But you're not going to need lots of information. It's far more important that you understand that the lecture demo is about one thing. It is about giving people an experience. So let's get into this and let's start having a little look now, because, I think years ago, when I was first, today I put some photos on it when I was doing my NLP trainers training, and it was really interesting back then because I turned up to do what I thought was going to be a fairly straightforward kind of, learning things and just having a bit of fun, like we did in NLP trainers or NLP practitioner, like we did in some of the Ericksonian trainings. And there I was, and we're like about a week in, and I've never worked so hard in my life. I mean, we're studying into the night. We're not finishing until about 7 at night. We're learning drumming. I'm still something to do with unconscious formatting. We're having all these experiences, and we're constantly in front of groups of people, and they're looking at us. And the pressure's on a little bit because we're expected to learn skills like, learn satir categories, learn how to change states, learn how to deliver metaphors, and put it all together. And our colleagues are looking at us. And they're looking at you. And after each segment that you do, every person in the room goes back and gives you the feedback sandwich. And at one point, I remember a colleague from Croatia coming up and saying, "No, you are not holding your hands like this. Your hands are out here. You will hold your hands like this." And she came in and she brought them in. And I thought, wow. But, that feedback that was coming back there to me actually massively accelerated what I was doing. But there were so many different components there and so many things we were trying to fit in that it felt quite overwhelming. As time went on, I realized that actually, once I understood the principles behind that, it was a lot easier for me to relax into the process. And so tonight, as we go through this, I'm going to teach you the principles that will allow you to be able to be yourself, be true to yourself, be true to your own personality, whether you're more kind of high energy Tony Robbins or whether you're kind of a little bit more kind of like chilled and quiet and softly spoken. It's absolutely fine. There's a really wonderful sequence that you can go through that I think you're going to like. If you've had any training in Ericksonian type hypnosis, you're going to love this. If you've done any kind of NLP stuff, you'll love this. And if you haven't done any of that, you're in for an absolute treat, because this model uses a lot of different things and really some very simple ways. I've tried making it as simple as possible to follow, and in terms of you being able to conceptualize it in your mind. So let me show you. Let me give you a little overview of what we're going to do today. So this is going to bring together, for those of us who've been here all covering, starting from day one, and all the research that we've covered about the placebo effect and all the different things that we've looked at in terms of the importance of context, you're going to see how when you're delivering any kind of presentation, the context is very, very important. Who is there, where you're doing it, the time of day. And so you're not just going to turn up there. You're going to do a little bit of research before you go there and some very specific types of preparation. Because what you want to do is you want to trigger a perception when you're there that you are an expert. And I know it seems kind of strange, but you can be an expert but not be perceived as an expert. You can be sort of average but be perceived as an expert. And honestly, either way, what you want to be is perceived as an expert. If you have expertise, you want to position yourself, you want to make sure that you convey your message so you are perceived as the expert in that niche. And of course, we've talked about state. We've had a session on anchoring and how to use that and how to elicit states. This is very, very relevant in what we're doing here, because you're actually, in the way that you tell stories, the way that you use your voice, you're going to be evoking certain emotions in the audience, because you, above all else, want to entertain and fascinate so that you give people an experience. The people are there, they want to be entertained, they want to be interested, they want to be fascinated. So whichever audience you are there, you have to have that in your mind, that whatever you're doing needs to, that people should be looking a little bit, their eyes should be opening, and you should see smiles from time to time, you should see some kind of engagement. If everyone's dropping off to sleep, you need to change things very, very quickly. Okay, so remember, you're giving people an experience. We're not going to be able to do a full client empathy map before we go there, but at least the person who's who we're using to, or who we're working with to organise that event, the person on the ground there who's invited us to come along, we're going to make sure we know what kind of audience we've got there, and we're going to ask some questions so that we're going to be very clear about the kind of things that they typically enjoy finding out about, perhaps what kind of problems they're having, so that we can provide some solutions. And we've talked about the CAT model before. We need to come across as credible, we need to come across as an authority, so that we can trigger the placebo effect, trigger that kind of sense, that automatic kind of unquestioned acceptance that what we're doing has merit, that we are experts, and that because some of those people in the audience will start thinking to themselves, well, look, I know somebody who has a back problem, or I know somebody who wants to stop smoking, or I know somebody who bites their nails. This person is somebody who can help you. This is somebody I know, or I really feel can help that person. And that's what you want. You want to start building this relationship, so that when problems come up, who are they going to call? So this is just a quick overview of what we're some of the things we're going to be covering today. We're going to cover how to prepare content, just so you've got that in your mind, so you understand that you're not ever going to just turn up. Even knowing how to deliver this, you still want to assess the context, because the context is going to determine the kind of perception that you want to get across. It could even make a difference to how you dress and many, many other things. Then you're going to prepare to deliver. You're going to learn how to get in the right state. And if you're able to, you can even join me for that little part of the exercise. And then we're going to look at the structure of the lecture demo, the structure of how to deliver lecture demos. If you are going to deliver a lecture demo, you need to have an opening, and your opening has got to be right. Your opening is going to be quite quick, it's going to set the scene, but if you get that wrong and you start launching into the lecture demo, you're just simply not going to have the audience with you. So the opening is really, really critical, and that's going to consist of introducing yourself so people know who you are, some reasons why they should listen to you. You'll tell them what it's about. We're going to go down that yes staircase in a very particular way, and we're going to do a little mini trance, just a teeny tiny little segment for them, just to start getting them, just to start prepping the mind. And I'll give you an example of that later. So that's the opening. When I give you an example of that might sound like a lot of steps. You can do that in anything from 2 to 5 minutes. I mean, that's really tops what we're talking about. And then you can go into your lecture demo. But you don't proceed into your lecture demo unless you've got a little bit of rapport going with the audience. The lecture demo, there's going to be 6 things that we're going to be looking to achieve, with the specific kind of steps and techniques and tools that we're going to be using there. We've got to make sure that we arouse their interest very early on. We've got to make sure that we get compliance as we're going. We've got to make sure that for old friends, complex equivalence and cause effect, and I'll explain them again later, need to be there. We need to give them an experience. That experience is one of really around the perception, but we need them to have an experience that they're there, and that experience should match their expectations. And this is really critical. The experience that they have, we should deliver it in such a way that it matches their expectations, which is why we want to know a little bit about them before we come along. We want to make sure that we're pacing and leading constantly throughout, and we will at certain points invoke trance for transformation. Or at least we will give them a trance that will something they perceive as trance. So again, that they meet their expectations are fulfilled. And it's really cool, and I'll show you a really nice way that you can do that conversationally, and so that you'll be able to continue talking without any need for a script. You'll be able to do that right off the bat. You'll have the opportunity, I mean, when you do these lecture demos, there'll come a certain point where you need to show your chops. You need to prove to the audience that you can actually do what you say you can do, because you can talk about it, but far better to give them an actual direct experience. The easiest, low, basically no stress, there's absolutely basically nothing can really go wrong with it. Thing to do is to do a group induction, which is nice. As you get more confident, you can get people on stage and you can go through some of the hypnotic phenomena with them. That's really cool, and I'll show you again how we can do that with just basically zero chance of things not working out, because you won't even get people up, you won't even invite people up until you've done a whole series of convincers very, very quickly together. And if any of you have done the session with me on convincers, you'll know exactly which sequence we're going to do it in, because that's exactly what we do with all our clients. When it's exactly the sequence I do with my clients. It's the way that I teach other hypnotists and coaches to do it, so that when you do these lecture demonstrations, you're so well rehearsed at it. You know exactly what to do. You're not, your fear of, oh, what happens if their fingers don't come together? It simply doesn't exist, because the way that you set things up, it is going to happen. And if it doesn't happen immediately, then you'll immediately just go back to getting a little bit of extra compliance, and you'll go straight into the next thing, almost as though it's so matter of fact that they will follow along even more than if it had succeeded the first time around. So it really doesn't matter either way you succeed. So we're going to be doing that. Then we're going to be offering an invitation to them in a very nice, gentle way. We're not going to be selling, we're not going to be trying to close, we're going to put an invitation out, and I'll show you some cool ways you can do that. And then we're going to finish up with thank you, because we're all about adding value, creating value. We want people to have a wonderful experience. We want everyone there to have had a really nice time, go away feeling good about it, feeling good about you, feeling good about the industry of hypnosis, because we want to be ambassadors for that, because it will help our colleagues out all around the world. So you go and give a good lecture demo, we're putting out good karma for everyone else. Ultimately, our lecture demos have got to achieve at least 4 things. They must educate at some level, they must inspire, they must have some kind of invitation there, some way in which people can either contact us, or we can offer them something of value. And I'll show you ways in which you can do that in a really nice way, so that it's very relaxed, it's very comfortable, but it'll be very clear that these are some things that if you want them, there'll be a very specific way in which people can go about getting them from you. So these can be things like a free ebook, a free MP3, a free video, or hey, how about a free consultation? And it's a really cool thing. And if you introduce that at the right time and in the way that I'm going to show you here, it will be accepted by people as in the spirit in which you want it to be accepted, which is it's an invitation. But that offer that offer needs to be there. You need to be very clear about that. Some people, if they have physical products, I don't generally have physical products, but if you do, you can bring them along. There's no sort of harm having those there. That would be a fantastic thing to do. But I'll show you how I approach that when I go and do lecture demos. And then you're going to make sure, above all else, that whatever niche you're in, whatever area you really want to focus on, that you will make sure that people understand that. So at the moment, I'm kind of tending towards a lot of, although I see stop smoking, I see clients are blushing, and I do some stuff around sugar cravings. I'm also tending towards doing trainings, so more kind of motivational trainings or how-to trainings for other coaches and for corporate people. And so sometimes your niche will change, and you'll start moving in that direction towards perhaps doing more training. But either way, whatever you're doing, people must be very clear in their minds that you are the person who does. My friend Stuart asked me today, he said, well, look, I'm going to go around and I'm going to be doing some more talks at the moment. Are there any kind of, is there anywhere where, do you know anyone who would be interested in going and giving, having me to come and give a talk? Now, I happen to know that near him is where my sister works in the school, and Stu is the guy, the go-to guy, you know, in the UK. If you've got a kid who's suffering from anxiety, he's, in my mind, you know, that's the guy who I'm going to refer parents to. Okay, so because I know that inside my mind, as a therapist, I can refer, and a coach, I can refer other people to him. But it's really clear. So when he turns up there, that's his thing. You know, there's other stuff he does as well, and he's got a very wide repertoire of stuff he does to other coaching. But you do need people are going to know you and associate you with a particular kind of niche, and so you need to make that very clear. You know that, and you can do that simply by telling a story about a client who came to see you. It's very straightforward, but you must educate people about what hypnosis is. You must inspire them so that at some level they want to maybe take that further or find out a bit more. You must have some kind of invitation to them. If you do all that stuff and you don't have an invitation to, you know, have a free consultation with you or to get in contact with you, because there's a free MP3 that if they go to your website and sign up at this particular URL, they can get that for free within, you know, but it's time sensitive. They've got to go there within 48 hours. If they don't do that, then they won't get it. But you have to give that invitation. You have to put it out there, and you must give them very clear reasons. You must make it very clear and keep clarifying the kind of expertise that you have. So that's in a nutshell where we're going. So let's launch in. So I think my feeling is always that you can, when it comes to, say, interviews, and I work a lot with people for interviews, the best prepared person tends to more often than not win. It's not always the case, but the better prepared you are, the less chance there is of having any kind of nerves or anxiety. And so I think I'm not a fan of having, you know, big pages of notes or anything like that, but you do need to prepare at least a theme when you go along. And in fact, the theme can simply be a particular story. It can be like one particular example. I'll give you a little example of that in a minute. But when you're preparing your content, you've got to have in mind who are the audience there. If it's you know, if it's a women's institute and there's sort of older women who are there, then there'll be particular things that may be of interest. They may be interested. You know, when you speak to the organizer there and you ask them, they may say, well, a lot of our people have aches and pains, and so perhaps a session talking about the pain control aspects of hypnosis might well be a very good thing to do. I know people who go into who do similar things like that, and they'll go into care homes and they can give talks along those lines. You know, my friend Stuart goes and gives talks to groups of parents about how to help deal with anxiety, or kids who are feeling a little bit anxious, or, you know, maybe even parents who are feeling a bit anxious. So there's lots of different things you can do, but you need to tailor that to the audience. You need to ask whoever is organising that event, what is it? What would be of interest? You know, what kinds of people come along here? What do they normally talk about? What fascinates them? And you will build a topic that you will pick a topic that is directly relevant to them. And once you know what interests them, you want to kind of be the person who's there saying, you know, did you know that Charles Dickens was a hypnotist? Did you know that? Now, you know, you can be there and you can have a couple of these little vignettes, these little kind of one-liners there that will, people all of a sudden like, oh, that's really interesting. I didn't know that. Did you know that? And it kind of, do you see what happens? The moment that you know, you suddenly find something that you didn't know before, it triggers the amygdala in your mind, because the amygdala is always triggered by novelty and surprise, excitement, those kind of things. And when that happens, we get this little kind of, you can feel this little shift inside you. Say, oh, that's interesting. So you want to be that person there who is running through these little cycles of stimulating curiosity and interest. And of course, you're a hypnotist, so by very nature, you have a little bit of status and authority, and you certainly, that people will have in their minds a lot of the time an impression of what hypnotism is. And although, you know, a lot of us have spent many, will try to sort of, you know, fight the kind of perceptions that people have, you might as well go with them and use the fact that they probably expect that you're quite an interesting and intriguing person, and so you can use that, you can leverage that in your talk, and that will maintain interest. So this can be really simple. We're going to have a session on how to become a hypnohistory expert, so that whenever you are called upon in conferences or anywhere in the world, or to give a lecture demo, you will know all the sources where you can go to, where you can just, you can get the most up-to-date information. I'm going to do a section on the most recent studies on the placebo effect as well, and also on priming, so that so you'll know about those. You'll know enough about that anyway. But I'll also show. It's also, I think, really important that you understand the history of hypnosis, and that we all understand the different schools that have been there and the kind of tensions that have existed as a result of that, so that we understand it in our business, so we have our own way of thinking about it. But also when we give talks, we can talk about some of these things. We can pull, depending on the audience we're in front of, we can pull out something fascinating. So for instance, if I was going to give a talk to a group about, let's say it was about pain control, and perhaps some of the people there were migraine sufferers, or they had headaches, or maybe they had lower back pain, whatever it is. There may be specific groups, there may well be groups of people who have particular types of pains or back troubles, also, and there will be people who, chiropractors or whatever, who perhaps you can go and talk to some of their clients. But what if you were to turn up there and say, and you've researched a little bit of information about James Esdale and the research that, or the kind of mesmeric kind of type of hypnotism that he did, a couple of 100 years ago in India, and you're there in front of the audience, and you turn up and you say, you do your introduction. Hi, I'm Richard. I'm here tonight. I'm here to talk to you about pain control. Is there anyone here who's having aches and pains? Okay. And is there anyone here who'd be interested in finding out a really simple and easy, pain-free way in which you could either reduce or completely eliminate that pain without the need for drugs? Would that be of interest to anyone? Okay. And would you like to have an experience tonight that'll show you how quickly you can actually start to use self-hypnosis as a first step towards being able to achieve that really easily and quickly, just simply using your powers of imagination, concentration, intelligence? Anyone here be interested in that? Okay, brilliant. Well, look, I'm here today, and I'd like to just tell you a tiny little bit about the history of hypnosis, because there was a doctor several hundred years ago called James Esdale. He was in India, and one of the things that he did was, which was absolutely fascinating. This is sort of, I don't know whether he's doing this sort of around 1820s, 1830s, but kind of that sort of, that kind of period of time. And as he's there in India, he's moved over there, and he's a physician, he's a surgeon, but he's using the hypnotism of the time, a particular tradition called mesmerism. And he was perceived as quite a very sort of authoritative figure, in his community. He worked specifically with people who needed amputations. Now you can imagine, like back in the day, I mean, there was nothing there that you could do. If you needed to, you had gangrene, basically that arm, that leg had to come off, and it wasn't going to be pleasant. Well, the interesting thing is, he performed. Some people say it was over 300, some people say it was a little bit less, but around that number of amputations, full limb amputations, only using hypnosis. And the survival rates of people were comparable to the survival rates of people today, in the at least to the degree that he's documented this. It's absolutely incredible. He went through and he was able to work with so many people. He just developed this incredible reputation of being able to help people get relaxed, get them comfortable, be able to make sure that they really had either no pain or a numbness of the sensation, so that the limbs that needed to be were removed. And not only that, they typically didn't have the complications and bleeding and so forth that would obviously, could be very problematic. They tended to have less complications, they tended to heal better. And the survival rates, the percentages of the survival rates, are comparable with what we could expect today. Now, if he could achieve that with very rudimentary, basic forms of hypnosis, just the most basic forms of it all those years ago, think how much more powerful it can be, and think how easy it can be once you learn these techniques to be able to remove a headache. or to be able to manage some of the pain in your body, or to be able to reduce or eliminate any lower back pain. Because if he could do that, if he could remove full limbs from a person's body without extreme discomfort, then honestly, doesn't it stand to reason that being able to reduce a headache or eliminate any kind of pain in your body is going to be much easier and much more straightforward? And that's what we're going to talk about here today, and that's what I'm going to show you how to do. Okay, so I've given you like quite a big segment there of how I would approach that, how I would go in there. You can see how quickly we move through the intro, and we're straight into the beginning part of the lecture demo, that we're straight into getting people, fascinated and intrigued and arousing their interest. And we've gone a little bit ahead there, so I'm going to break those steps down for you later, but I want to show you how easy that is to do. And of course, what have we done? We haven't needed a lot of factual information there. All you need to do, you can go and check the dates out for yourself. You can go and look them up on the internet. Esdale, India. You get roughly the time period. You can look at just you need just a general understanding of the story. Like with many of Ericsson's stories, and particularly if you hear people tell Ericsson's stories, or if you hear Bandler tell them, he'll tell them different every time. It doesn't matter. You can have a little bit of license there to not make things up, but it's people are not expecting you to be Wikipedia. If they want Wikipedia, they'll go to Wikipedia. Okay, this is to tell a story, to create an experience. So you've got things like, you've got so many things from the history of hypnosis that are fascinating. You can draw on the work of anything from Ericsson. Some of the stories about Ellman are really cool as well. Some of the experiences he had. You can go to places like PubMed and you can look at research on pain control, IBS, headaches, childbirth. There's loads of hypnosis studies around that. And I'm going to show you lots of other places that you can go to for information when we do the lesson on how to become a hypnohistory expert. And you'll really like that, because what it will do is it'll allow you to have a real understanding of the whole kind of like breadth of different schools within hypnosis, up to some of the more modern researchers like Sabin and his attitudes towards role play, right the way through to how we think that hypnosis may be operating today. And in fact, then I'll finish up with my unified theory of hypnosis, which I think you'll really like, because that will bring everything together nicely. But your only outcome is to deliver a performance that gives an experience. So when you prepare your content, think of your audience, think of what they want and what they need, and then find something of interest that you can talk to them about. Honestly, that is not difficult. The most important thing is making sure that you are aware who the audience are and what they need, and you should ask that in advance. Well, by the way, my son here wants to contribute. He's 7, he's just turned 7. He wants to contribute to this today. So Jacob's drawn a little thing there with physiology. He's written physiology out. He's got a very happy, smiling person there. And next to that, I wrote out, your only outcome is to deliver a performance that gives a great experience. So I want him to get some acknowledgement for that, because he's very keen that you had a good picture tonight. Okay, so we've prepared content. Now, that's one thing. Now, before you actually turn up and deliver it, or before you open your mouth, you must make sure you are prepared to deliver it, which means you must be in the right state. Remember, if we were going to have a strapline for the 28 days to hypnosis success, it would be consistency through ritual. And I think this is really important. So it doesn't matter. You may have an anchor that you want to use that reminds you to get in a particular state. But ultimately, one of the quickest ways, we'll go through now. There's 4 things you're going to do to make sure that you, every time, turn up and you're able to deliver that without stage fright, without nerves, where you can literally just be yourself. You've prepared this information. You know you're going to talk about, say Esdale, you're going to talk about pain control, you're going to use that as a metaphor, you're going to use that and link it to the message about, look, if this is possible, then that is possible. So you know that. But before you start to speak, you're going to be very clear that you're going to be focused on your audience. So you are purely focused on adding value to the other people there. If you start to go and think of it in those terms, you're not going to start worrying inside your mind, oh, what do people think? No, you're there to serve those people and deliver the best service that you can. So there's zero way in which you can have any doubt or any room for feeling anxious if all your focus is on the other person. If your focus is on how can I fascinate the people here, how can I get this message across, how can I inspire everyone who's here, because when you think like that, you will start to inspire people and you will have zero nerves inside. And you need to be thinking all the time, to remind yourself of this. Am I adding more value than I expect? Am I totally doing that? Am I really delivering here? Now, remember, you're going to be focused on the people who are there. But if you are going to turn up and you're going to deliver, and you're 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you're just about to deliver your talk, you need to make sure that you've got some rituals that you can go through, or even if you have 1 minute, you've got to make sure that you're in the right space to do that. So the very first thing you want to do on your way there is remind yourself of why you are fascinated by this material. What is about it, this material that you are sharing that is inspiring? As I'm thinking about tonight and turning up here and talking to you, I was thinking to myself, you know what? This has given me so much confidence, because when I know how to do this, what I'm outlining, when I figured all this stuff out that I'm showing you tonight, it's really, really simple, because I know I can, the drop of a hat, go somewhere. I'm very confident giving sort of demonstrations using the convincers, because I always use the same 3 convincers and then book and blue in the same sequence. I'm very confident using the compliance, just using compliance now as we do it, because it's really very straightforward when you start to think in those terms. And honestly, using some Ericksonian language patterns, a few other little simple things and simple stories and modulating your voice. Doing a group induction is very, very straightforward. So once you know the sequence of how to do that, of how to turn up, how to connect with the audience, how to take them step by step through that, and to make sure they're on board, then really, if you understand that, then you know how to prepare. And then the only question is, how much time and effort are you prepared to put in to phoning around and contacting different people in different organizations? How much time are you willing to put into building relationships and actually getting, leaving your house, driving there, walking there, running there, whatever you do, and turning up. But remind yourself, why is it? Why am I fascinated by this? And for me, as I thought about delivering this, I'm fascinated because it's instilled, I've had to learn the confidence, the physiology of confidence, and because I learned the physiology of confidence, that means I can be confident anytime I want to, which is wonderful. It means if I'm ever not feeling great, I know exactly what to do to start to feel better. Also, honestly, this is, I know where we are at night, it's 10:30, 11 at night. I love this, and I would happily go into the early hours, and probably will do, sharing this material. Why? Because I've been studying this pretty much all my life, personal development, study skills, and certainly for the last 17 years solidly, NLP, hypnosis, and later on, the marketing, which really, as far as I'm concerned, is hypnosis, because it's all about perception. And I love this, and because it inspires me, it's helped me transform my life, it's helped me have better relationships. And honestly, the people who I've worked with, I've seen so many people transform their lives because of good quality training I had. It used to frustrate me that I didn't know simple marketing things that I could do, i.e. get in front of people and inspire them simply and easily, which will get more clients in, which means I can help more people out, which means there's more happy people out there in the world, which means there's more people who know about the powers of hypnosis, there's more people to tell the story about the benefits of hypnosis, which is great for the whole industry. So I just think, any opportunity I get to talk, present, I say yes. So for me, this is really exciting. So you need to remind yourself, number one, why you are fascinated by this. Personally, what's your deep connection to the material? Why did you decide to do this? Secondly, you need to change your physiology. Easiest way to do that is to just make sure that your chest is up. So, if you keep your chest up like this, if you think of sort of like someone in the army standing to attention, that's pretty much what you want to do. You can lift it up, you can exaggerate it, but you want to sort of keep it, initially it's going to feel like you're massively exaggerating if you've not done this before, but eventually you'll start to keep it at this kind of level. Immediately, if you've got the opportunity now, depending on where you are in your mobility, you can try slumping yourself down and imagine giving a presentation like that. And then just lift that up, take a deep breath, and you keep your chest up. You'll be perceived as having higher status immediately. It's really strange. You can have good people in the room. If you have all of them, and I've seen lineups, I've seen people do this in body language demonstrations. If you have, everyone else is a bit slumped like that, and you have one person there, irrespective of what they're wearing, it's a real subconscious communication that you are a credible authority figure. But more than that, it is the physiology of confidence. So it's a real simple, easy way to do it. It's the quickest way I know to change your state. Now, the second thing you can do, allied to physiology, is go into peripheral vision. We've talked about this before, but literally, you could be looking at a spot in front of you, and you could start to become aware of everything to the side of you. So as I'm looking at this computer, I can see the light, the green light on the top, and I can start to pay attention to that and start to become aware of everything to the side and above and below and all the space in between. And all of a sudden now, it's kind of like quite trippy. I mean, I've always never ceases to amaze me how cool it is going to peripheral vision. But immediately you do that, it has a very calming effect on the body. My trainers back in the day, John Oberdorf, Julie Silverthorne, used to talk about this being the stop the world state, which is, Carlos Castaneda's explanation or his description of this, where it stops the thoughts inside your mind and you tend to have, you tend to feel quieter inside. And it's great because it allows the information to flow more freely from your unconscious mind without any stress. Now, if you use the physiology of confidence, if you stay in peripheral vision, then you're in an ideal state to be able to deliver that lecture demonstration. It's very, very cool. The other thing you can do, which is really nice, and this is another little thing that John and Julie used to really enjoy, sort of explain to us about using kind of your imagination, but you can imagine the audience inspired. So I love doing this. So before I go and talk, before I go and turn up here tonight, it's wonderful to just imagine people there sat at home or sat in front of their computers in the office, feeling inspired, having ideas, and they're smiling, jotting the odd thing down, thinking, yeah, that's cool, I can relate to that, or yeah, I've made that before, yeah, that's I can see that. And picking up ideas, being inspired, being interested. And it's been really lovely because I've had people send me message me on Facebook saying, I really like this, what about that? Will you tell me how you do your consultation? How do you do content-free therapy? So we've been able to add modules in and build that around to make sure that everything there is tailored. All this stuff is built around all the failures that I've had that have allowed me to basically then sort of learn what does work and studying marketing and spending thousands of pounds doing different trainings all over the world, but also on what other colleagues consistently fall down on or what they consistently need help with, or what we kind of as an industry, those elements of stuff that when we do them in a particular way will tend to get us better results. And I just think it's so important that we share that information so that we have, we all learn different tools and techniques that kind of get us through. And as we share them and as we support each other with that, then we can massively improve the quality of our industry by being better known, by having more people know about what we do. We know there are so many billions of people in the world. It's not about competition. We have more than enough stuff, and the more we share, the more we help each other out, the better it will be, the better it is for the industry. So I get really excited when I think about sharing this and supporting other colleagues and learning from them as well. So I call this PAPF, physiology, anchors, peripheral vision, and the focus on adding value. If you change your physiology, you may want to use some kind of like anchoring to as well. If you do have a kind of kinesthetic anchor, we set one the other day when we were talking. I can already feel those feelings as coming through as I squeeze that now. If you go into peripheral vision, that will really enhance your state. And if you focus on adding value to the audience, if you focus on the audience who are there, you'll be in the optimum state. How long does this take? Listen, I can, as I'm coming downstairs to the office, I'm thinking in my mind of why I love this topic and what I want to do. As I'm walking in here, I'm just taking a deep breath as I make sure that my chest is up, and I make sure I'm kind of just gently going to peripheral vision, and I'm imagining people benefiting because I'm explaining exactly how this has really helped me in my life, how it's transformed, how, I've gone through all these mistakes, and really, actually, it was very, very simple. And had I known the strategies to do from a marketing point of view and been able to integrate them into my business way back, I would have just had so much more fun. I would have been able to help loads more people out. I would have not struggled financially. And to be honest, I wouldn't have worried about going at the drop of a hat and giving presentations, because I would have known exactly how to do. I wouldn't have, I remember giving presentations to doctors and so forth, and they were really great, but part of me was very, was nervous, am I doing it right, or do they like this? Now, they all said they did enjoy it, but the thing is that once you know exactly a real proven system that just connects with people, that triggers their mind to be alert, curious, engaged, and and you've got it there, almost like paint by numbers. It's a wonderful thing, because then all that stress disappears. It's gone completely. You feel confident. You feel motivated. Actually, you start to think and say, you know what? I could do this. I could do this anywhere. And honestly, once you know how to do this, then doing interviews, giving interviews over the phone or in front of a camera will be an absolute doddle. Literally. To be able to just answer a few questions and be able to speak. Well, if somebody's asking you questions, you'll be in the right physiology. All you need to do is get your chest up. You'll focus on why you're interested in this material, and you'll imagine other people being fascinated as they listen, and you will launch in. And you're not going to be careful. You're not going to worry about what do people think, or or what if this happens. No, you'll just go into it. And it's that easy to do. It takes a few seconds, but it's important that you understand that you must be. You must have some awareness of that, so that when you begin, you are in the right state, because it will convey the right meta message, the right sub-communication in everything that you say, and honestly, you will feel really good delivering the material. So, you prepared your content, you're prepared to deliver, now let's deliver. So this is the lecture demo system. Now, it looks like there's a few different things in here. It looks like there's quite a bit of stuff. By the way, there will be in the members area, those of you in the Elite Members Bootcamp will have, there are high-res, there'll be high-res scanned images of all these flip charts in there, so you'll be able to go through and drill down into detail, but I'll talk you through it now. The lecture demo, as we've said, it's going to move through 4 distinct stages. And you're not going to go from one stage to the next. It's sequential. You're not going to move from one stage to the next unless you've totally nailed that stage. The first stage is a strong opening. It's got to be a strong opening. The second stage is the lecture demo itself. The third stage is the invitation, where you let people know that you are available, for instance, for a free consultation. And you make it very clear and very obvious how they can go about doing that. It can be as simple as having some business cards and letting them know that you're going to be there at the end, and then you're going to thank them. You'll thank the group, you'll thank the organizer. You're going to finish up there expressing your gratitude for people's time and for you having been invited. So, strong opening. What do we need to do for a strong opening? Well, it's very simple. The strong opening, by the way, will set a frame. It will set a frame of whether you are the perceived expert, you are somebody who can actually do what you say you can do. It needs to have credibility. You need to be perceived as an authority figure. You need to be able to trigger that part of the person's mind that they think, wow, this person really knows what they're talking about. So, of course, you're in the right physiology when you're there. And the first thing you're going to do is you're going to introduce yourself. The second thing is you're going to say what it is that you are there to talk about. You are going to give them some reasons why they might want to listen to you. You're going to take them down that yes staircase, one step at a time. And then you're going to give them what I call a test, a trance experience snippet session. Now, this is a little vignette. This is completely setting the scene there. So let me give you an example. Okay. So, hi there. Hello, my name is Richard. I'm a hypnotic consultant. Thank you for inviting me here today. I'm here to talk to you about the weight loss that I do with women, particularly around eliminating sugar cravings. And, you know, I don't know about you, but there are a lot of people out there who want to lose weight, but they've been struggling with it. And they've been struggling, and consciously they've tried, they've failed many times. Who here would like a simple way to start to, or learn a simple way to start to lose weight without having to exercise hours or deprive themselves of food? Would anyone here be interested in that? Okay. And you know, if I could show you a way in which you could feel much more relaxed around food, so all the kind of anxiety and all the guilt and any of those kind of emotions around it, you'd literally be able to allow them to disappear within a few seconds. Who here would be interested in knowing a technique that could help them do that? Okay, that's fantastic. And who here would like to know how to be able to enjoy their food, to carry on enjoying the foods they do and still lose weight easily and consistently and not put it back on again? Who here would be interested in finding out about that? Brilliant. Well, you've had lots of experiences in your life and you've learnt many things over the years. In fact, when you were very, very young, there were lots of things that you learned that you started to do back then, habits that you picked up, like learning to walk and learning to talk. Because there was a time way, way back, before anything else, when you couldn't even speak. There was a time when you didn't know the letters of the alphabet even. And then you started to learn them. And when you went to school probably, or just before you went to school, or just after you started school, there was a period when you had to learn all the symbols. You had to learn that this was Anne, this was Bert, and this was Kurt. And you had to learn all the symbols of the alphabet. And you learned them, and they became etched in at the back of your mind. And once you'd learned all the capital letters of the alphabet, then you had to go and learn a whole other sequence of lowercase ones. And all the way through your life, your unconscious mind has had learnings that have gone into your mind that have been etched in there. And some of those have been habits that you picked up. And some of those habits have served you very, very well. And yet other habits are things that you want to change. And today, as you start to imagine what it'll be like once you have managed to change habits and you've actually become the person who you want to be, the way that you feel you want to feel, and you're at the ideal weight that you want to be. I'm curious as to what you will be looking back on having had happened, and how many other positive changes there will be in your life now. So I'd like to thank you again for inviting me here today, because I'm going now to, I'd like to tell you just a little bit more about hypnosis, and I think you're going to really enjoy this, because hypnosis has a real interesting history around being able to help people with weight loss, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about that now. Okay, so can you see from the opening there, we've gone through those stages very, very quickly. I've introduced myself, so you want to introduce what you do, and you can, I like to introduce myself as a hypnotic consultant. You can say, why they're there. You're here to tell them what you're there to talk about. Sugar cravings for weight loss in this case, but why? Well, it's to make it, it's to help you be able to do that or break those cravings easily. And then I've given a few little, I've asked some questions, and I'm also indicating to them, I'm also non-verbally suggesting to them that they can put up their hands as well. And I'll be looking around the room to make sure that people are nodding their heads. Typically, I'll do 3, 4, 5 of those. It's so easy, it's so simple to do, because these are questions, remember, that you're going to ask that that the audience are going to say yes to. All right. And the reason that you're doing that is you want to prime the part of the mind that says yes, so that they stay interested, so that they think, okay, I can see that this actually has relevance to me. I can see that this is of interest to me. Okay, let me pay some more attention to this, because I might learn something. I might actually have this kind of experience. And then the little test, the trance experience snippet session that we did there, starts to just prepare people to have their experience of trance, where you will slow down your voice. And I'm going to show you there's 6 specific things that we're going to be doing when we get to the longer, let's say we're doing a group induction, and it's going to meet and pace their expectations of what they think a hypnotist would be doing. And it's so easy to do. We're going to do a little bit of time distortion as you were a kid, you were learning things. Imagine in the future doing this. And we can talk in that artfully vague, more kind of Ericksonian language, if you will. There are lots of other ways you can do it. You can go absolutely go and do things directly. The way that we're doing lecture demos here is a little bit different from, say, doing group hypnotherapy sessions. There are other great courses on that. This is about going and giving people a talk, but also within that, giving them experiences of hypnosis. And this is a real nice thing to do. The reason you want to do that up front is we have up here, we've gone through the yes, through going down the yes staircase, and through giving them some reasons why they might want to listen. Their conscious mind is activated. Now we're stimulating the more emotional part of them, which is their unconscious. And so when the unconscious mind has reasons as well to want to follow along and listen, then it kind of, even just from the point of view of what they're thinking in their conscious mind, they suddenly become aware that something's happening. They're feeling different inside, and and particularly if audiences, particularly if it's an audience that has some familiarity with hypnosis or NLP, they're going to absolutely love that. You'll see this when you go to hypnosis trainings. People love to trance out. So you want to give them a little sort of experience up front, and it'll also set the context nicely for later on. Because when you go back into that voice later on, people will be more conditioned to it, more anchored to it, and you'll be able to flow into that very nicely. So that starts to stimulate the unconscious mind somewhat. That is your strong opening. It's really simple. Hi, my name is Richard. I'm here today. To talk about weight loss for sugar cravings. Who here has struggled with weight loss? Okay. Who here has tried diets and failed? Okay. Who here has just kind of like beats themselves up because they think they should go to the gym, and even when they've tried to do that, they just basically haven't been able to lose weight, or if they've lost weight, that just seems to come back on. Who here's done that? Okay. And who here's got any kind of sugar cravings at all? Okay. So if I could show you a very simple way to remove those sugar cravings very easily and relax your body and let go of some of that guilt that you've been feeling and carrying around, would that be of interest? Okay. Do you see how quickly it is? Now, I could say to them, I know you want to do this, or I know you want to do that, but by asking it as gentle questions and sequencing them and giving them time just to process them, I'm not going to rush them. I'll ask them, I'll hold my hand up so that it's a non-verbal gesture, I'll observe for the response, and I'll go on to the next one. If you go for 4 or 5 of those, their mind will be nicely primed to accept suggestions later on. They'll be nicely primed to go into hypnosis. This is a really cool thing to do. When you get to the lecture demo, again, it's very, very straightforward. I mean, I like to use I use the accept model because I want to, which I created, which is I want them to accept these suggestions so that they feel good. I want them to accept me as a credible figure, and I want them to accept me as somebody potentially who can help them in the future, or their friends and family, because if you do a really good job there, they might not be interested in coming to see you, but when their neighbour or their friend or their colleague is having difficulty with a fear, phobia, habit, something like that, who are they going to think of? Who are they going to call? So the accept model is really cool because it's about giving a real bona fide experience to those people. The first thing you've got to do is arouse interest. You want to be thinking in terms of state here. You want to arouse curiosity. You want to arouse excitement, fascination, intrigue. Okay, we've already looked at how to tell stories. We've looked at how to do anchoring. This is why we've had sessions on this. This is one of the reasons why we've specifically focused and had modules on those, because when you understand about how to change states, how to get in the state yourself so that you can tell that story, when you understand about that 55% of the communication is your physiology, 38% is your tonality and silence and pauses and the way you use your voice, and just 7% is the words, you let go of sort of worrying too much about having loads and streams of content. You'll have one particular theme that you're going to sort of riff around, but far more important is your delivery your performance. It's always about performance. You know, my colleague and mentor, Alex Smith, always talks about, look, hypnosis, when he's doing hypnosis, it's a performance, you know, and it is. And your lecture demo, it is a performance. So the first thing you want to do is you want to arouse interest, you know, and you can start off, you know, did you know Charles Dickens was a hypnotist? You know, you can go straight into your lecture demo by just asking a simple question like that. You know, did you know? And it could be anything, but something that will start to stimulate the person's mind. Or did you know that in the last 3 years there have been, you know, over 5,000 studies in hypnosis published around the world? I don't know what the figure is. I just meant that we can find that out online. How, you know, how many sort of, you know, hundreds or thousands it is, but you can have that there, and you can have that interesting snippet ready to go. But you must arouse interest. The second thing you want to be doing as you're giving your talk is compliance. This will be very relevant later on when we get to doing the trance segment. But you're gonna need to bear that in mind. Now, we've talked a lot about compliance. I will show you again some cool things you can do here. And it's very, very simple. It's very, very easy. But you must make sure that the compliance is there so that the response potential is building up. Particularly if you want to get somebody on stage or you know, or up the front there where you're talking, you need to make sure they're compliant. The third thing we want to do is we want to use our old friends complex equivalent and cause effect. So one easy way to think about that, complex equivalence, this means that. The fact that we're all here today and the fact that we're learning about hypnosis means that it's easy to lose weight. The fact that you are going to be doing a little trance induction here today makes it much easier for you to be able to lose weight. The fact that you're here today means that you are motivated to lose weight, and that means that you'll find actually that you can lose weight much more easily than you used to think you could. You see how powerful it is? And we're going to talk about this because this is relevant when I show you the model of how you're going to be able to do trances, or what are perceived as trances, what are accepted as trances, what meet the audience expectation of trances and hypnosis very, very easily. So you won't need any scripts. You will be able to just go through and do that using solely your voice and a few other little things I'm going to show you. But you've got cause effect as well. I actually gave you an example a moment ago. If this, then that. If James Esdale was able to perform full limb amputations on people, and they survived, and not only survived, they had less complications, and they got well better than, you know, through the old way of just kind of lobbing it off, then imagine how much easier it's going to be to handle something, you know, like a headache. If this, then that. We're saying if that happens, then that makes this possible. Okay, we're going to start to link things together using complex equivalence and cause effect. This in hypnosis is known as the law of association. We're going to start to link things together. This is really cool. This is very important for us, because what it means is, because otherwise, if we just deliver content and information and we don't show its relevance to the topic at hand, which of course is the topic that's of interest to the people there, then we don't help them to join up the dots by saying, okay, well, this person had this problem. Hypnosis can obviously, if it can solve that, can definitely solve this, which is the problem that I've got, which is the problem that I want help with, which means that that person there is somebody who could potentially help me. Okay, we have to do a little bit of work to start to join up the dots a little bit. So we've aroused interest, we've got compliance, we're using the cause effect and complex equivalence, which is simply complex equivalence of this means that, cause effect of this makes that, or if this, then that. It's as simple as that. We want to give people an experience, and that experience should match their perception. We will be pacing and leading, so we'll be giving them suggestions. We'll be making sure that they're following on with those suggestions, and then we'll give them the next suggestion. So pacing and leading also ties in with compliance, and then we're going to be doing the trance. So this is what I call the accept model. These are the things that you're going to be doing and the things that you have in your mind as you're working. You're going to constantly have these in the back of your mind, because then when you get to the trance segment, you know, it's as simple as saying, you know, you go there and you give your little kind of bit about James Esdale, and if he could do full amputations, then imagine what he could do. Now, and so you've done that, and people are there, and you're observing them, and you can see people go, wow, you know, they've taken that on board. And you say, look, now what we're going to do is we're going to do a little group induction, and all we're going to do is I want you to just take a moment, and I want you to just, that's it, just, you know, put down your phones, put down any notes, that's right. Just make yourself comfortable. In fact, you know, adjust your body any way you want. Take a deep breath. That's right, take a deep breath, close your eyes. Now, what have I done there? I've given actually a number of little compliance things. I've asked them to put their phones down, I've asked them to put their notes down, I've asked them to, you know, adjust their bodies if they want. I've told them to, and I'll also suggest to them that they can adjust their bodies at any time during trance to help them deepen the trance and to get the most out of it. Why would I want to do that? Well, A, again, it's compliance, but B, I want to give that, so I want to piggyback that suggestion onto the potential that they can go even deeper. Then when I tell them to close their eyes as well, I'll be taking those little acts of compliance and I'll be leading them to close their eyes. And at that point, I'll also be suggesting to them that as long as you keep your eyes closed, you'll go into a wonderful, relaxed, comfortable state. How cool is that? As long as you close your eyes and as long as you keep your eyes closed, you will go into a wonderful, relaxed state. You know, don't feel concerned about saying that more than 2 or 3 times. So let me give you an example of how we can do this, because the trance that you're going to do is going to have 6 components. So if you're doing a group induction, which remember is the easiest, most simple thing you can do, because you've got a group of people who've got their eyes closed. So no one's looking at you, no one's looking at anyone else. So they're doing their own thing. It's really an absolute no-brainer. There's no stress. There's nothing at all that can really go wrong. I mean, I suppose potentially you could have somebody who has an ab reaction, in which case, you know, you will go through your ab reaction protocol, you'll relax them, you know, you would take them to one side, you tell them to just have, you go through your ab reaction protocol, deep breaths, you know, you're safe and secure, you're safe and secure, you're safe and secure. You know, whatever's in your mind just disappears, you're safe and secure. You are safe, calm and secure here. Your body supports you, and as that continues to drift into the background, you feel safe and secure, completely safe and secure. And only open your eyes to the degree that's completely disappeared into the background. It's gone, it's gone, gone, gone. You feel safe and secure. The sound of my voice is helping you feel safe and secure because you know you have somebody here. You feel safe and secure in your chair, and you know, and you can do that and just gradually bring back. There are lots of protocols there. This is not about giving you a particular ab reaction protocol, but yeah, you guys know that it's, you know, you stay calm. You would under those circumstances. But honestly, I've never had that happen in a live setting. So, but it's good to be aware of, and you know, and your training will of course take you through that. Your professional hypnotherapy training will take you through how to do that. It's covered, so you'll know how to do that. But in essence, doing a group induction has nothing that can go. I mean, there's no stress there. There's not other people watching you perform something on stage, where sometimes people feel a little bit of performance anxiety. Actually, now I love it, because it's once you know how to do that, once every single client you have, you're practicing that and rehearsing that and running through that drill, then being able, you are so lecture demo ready when you get up on stage that it's an absolute treat and delight to do. So the 6 things you're going to be doing that are going to make you masterful at delivering these trances in this environment very easily and comfortably. The first thing is, of course, you're going to tell them to close their eyes. And you're going to suggest that as long as you keep your eyes closed, this will take you into a wonderful, deep, relaxing state. So now you've given them a suggestion to keep their eyes closed. Cool, isn't it? Then you're going to use complex equivalent and cause effect. And we've talked about those. Then we're going to use stories, so we can tell any kind of stories, like a little snippet from a fairy tale, a little vignette from somewhere else, one of Erickson's stories. But honestly, you can use stories from your own life. you can use stories from the TV, you can use any kind of stories there. You're going to slow your voice down and use pauses. And you are going to be thinking in your mind about different states that you want to evoke in the people who are there. So I call this the 3C3S model that I use, and it works really wonderfully. Closing your eyes, complex equivalent, cause effect. Stories, slowing down, and thinking in terms of states. So let's give an example. We'll give you a little example now. So let's say I was giving a talk for some coaches and some hypnotists. Just bear with me. You know, I know that it's stretching the imagination a bit, but let's say I'm talking to them, and they don't need to close their eyes, but you know, because this is just for demonstration purposes. But you know, if you were to close your eyes and keep them closed so that you could go into a nice state to make it even easier to absorb this information, far be it from me to stop you doing that. But you could just keep them open and allow that information to go to a deep level. So either way is absolutely fine in this context. Because the fact that you're here today means that you are motivated to continually improve what you're doing, that being the best person you can in your field is important to you. And that makes you somebody who really cares and stands out in your field. And the very fact that you are here and you are listening means that you are really prepared to do whatever it takes to learn more information, such that the results you get with your clients and your ability to work with people and be able to inspire people is going to go to the next level. In fact, you know, anyone who takes time like you're doing now to learn this material is starting to really be in a position where they're able to master particular forms of marketing, which is simply about sharing something with other people so that they can feel inspired. And if you think about marketing as inspiring people, as about sharing something that could be of benefit, then that takes away the kind of stress about it being, you know, some kind of selling or, you know, hard sell or anything like that. So the very fact that you are here listening means that you have a real commitment to being outstanding in terms of working with other people, which means that you are somebody in this industry who is an expert in your area. And the very fact that you are willing to stay an open learner, listen to new information, look at other points of view, and see how well they fit and how well they can be used to help get the message out there to more people about the benefits of hypnosis, means that you are becoming, you know, it means that you're an excellent ambassador for this industry. And we need that. You know, there aren't as many of us as there could be. And, you know, years ago when I was, when I kind of stumbled into hypnosis and NLP back in 2000, just by, you know, I don't know if you've ever started to do something, you thought, I'm going to do something, and then you turned up to do it, and it was completely different from what you thought. I mean, I was trying to learn some study skills, and I thought, and this guy sort of said, you know, and it said in this book that if you want to be able to focus your mind and learn more information, and be able to be more confident, then what you'd want to do is you wanted to study this thing called NLP. And I bought a book and I looked at it and it had these pictures of a face and people pointing eye things, and and I was looking at this, and honestly, that was not very interesting. And so I thought, well, I'm not really sure. And then there's this poster said, so it's Richard Bandler who developed NLP. And then people saying, this guy is really interesting. I thought, well, that sounds different. That book was not so interesting. This sounds like it's going to be fun. This sounds like something I really want to do. This sounds like, I want to be there. I want to turn up there, and I want to be with, that group of people. And the thing is, I didn't even know. I mean, I had no idea what that was. I had absolutely no idea. And it turned out, all I'd done is I'd read read, I think, one of Tony Robbins' books, and Unlimited Power, I think, and there was a little bit about anchoring in there. I'd seen this fast phobia cure thing, so I kind of knew about that, and I think I'd heard something about Summer Modalities and Take by Paul McKenna, but I went up there and I really didn't know what it was, and within about half an hour, and we were in groups, and they were saying, close your eyes and imagine this time when you were happy and relaxed, and you're going deeper and deeper now. And all of a sudden, I started to feel this elation inside. I started to feel comfortable. I started to feel endorphins inside my body. I started to smile. I was laughing, just through the power of suggestion. And I opened my eyes and I came back, and I was absolutely amazed and delighted that I could feel that confident. That just through turning up to that situation, I had no idea whatsoever how good it could feel to be in front or be with a big group of people like that, and feel that great. And years later, or a couple of years later, when I was in front of a big group of people and I was being assessed for my NLP trainers training certification, and there were colleagues who had come in from other states, actually very experienced people, had come in to watch that, the grading exercise. And I remember turning up there, and I was in front of people, and I knew what I wanted to do. And I don't know if you ever turned up somewhere, and the very first thing that happens is it doesn't quite go the way you want. And I asked somebody a question about one of their relatives, and it just turned out it was the wrong question to ask, because they were deceased. And so I went, oh no. And I thought, well, I said to him, and I just took it in my stride, and I said, and I just said, you know what? It strikes me that you've come a long way to be here today. And I've seen you over the last few weeks. I've seen the commitment that you've had to learning. I've seen the commitment that you've had to come, because he was from, I think maybe the United Arab Emirates, come a long way, and it was not common in his culture to do the things that we've done. And I really had this admiration for him. He'd had like the language barrier, all these kind of things to overcome, and he was so committed. I said, I've seen this commitment in you. I've seen you've traveled a long way, and you've come here today to become this expert in your area, and you've come here to be able to learn how to get in front of people and feel confident and deliver this material. And I'm so I feel really privileged that actually I can be here and be part of that, because I know how dedicated and committed you are, and you've been studying this material, and you've been rehearsing it, and you've been practicing it, and you've been willing to just bring it up again and again and again. But I know that there's one thing that you want to change, and if you could change that thing right now, what would that be like for you? He said, that would be fantastic. And I said, well, look, if you could just imagine that way over there was the image of how you were going to look, and over here is that image of how things are now. You know what I mean? But if you could start to see over there the image of how things will start to be, not crystal clear yet, but coming into focus, such that if you were looking in the mirror in 6 months' time, having completely overcome the solution to the old problem, and you're doing the presentations, and you've got more clients calling you than you even expected, what would that be like for you? And he said, oh man, that would be so good. I would just be loving it, and I would be doing more teaching, and I would be traveling around, because he was a doctor, and he said, I'd be traveling around, I'd be doing this stuff. It would be so cool, and I could go over to the States, and I could really engage with people, and I would just love having that's more of the clients coming in. And I said, yeah, I really get that. So as that image starts to get more and more powerful for you, even just at a feeling level, even if you can't see it clearly coming into view now, I want you to just imagine that it's almost as if you could flick that old image away and it could disappear, and that new one could go whoosh, and it could flood in front of you and get stronger and stronger. In fact, it could go inside your heart. And I want you to just close your eyes and really feel that inside your heart now. And he started to smile as this wonderful wave of good feeling started to come over him. And I said, and as you feel those good feelings start to grow inside you now, I want you to consider how beautiful and wonderful it'll be. Whenever you choose, you can just gently touch your heart and feel all those comfortable feelings again. And as you do, you start to feel that warmth and that happiness and that joy. And at a certain point, that picture starts to get very, very clear in front of you. And I'm curious what it'll be like one day when you're looking in the mirror and you see that you have now become that person now. Very good. And, and if you're not already fully, back paying attention, back in a more kind of like a nicely uptime state, then just, allow yourself to do that and reorient here. And that is how easy it is to use those principles, the 3C, the 3S technique. You're not, by the way, just so you know, I had absolutely no idea what stories or states were going to come there before I started to do that. No idea I was going to pick whether we were going to change from just giving you a little simple example of doing the intro around sugar cravings and then making this relevant to you by talking about coaches and hypnotists, just if that is something that's of interest to you. But when you get in the right state, and you know that simply you're going to be saying this means that, you're going to start linking positive things together. That makes that happen. If this, then that. And you can pick some stories from your life. And you can start, of course, they'll start to, if you start to tell them from the state when you're there, and you slow your voice down, people will naturally start to have certain internal experiences. They'll start to pick up on those states because you are imbuing what you're doing with that information. It's important that you slow down when you're doing that. Now, of course, it's been quite cool because of late, I've learned so much stuff about walk-up street hypnosis and being able to do the direct suggestions and going faster and quicker. And so you can do that on the stage. That's like the opposite side of things if you're going to go and do stuff on, on stage, or if you're going to have somebody come up in front of you. And that can be really cool to do. But I want you to know that if you're doing any kind of group stuff, it's really that simple. There's not really, the 3C, 3S model is really easy to use. Now you can expand on that. Some people like to call them hypnotic journeys, where you kind of, the group, if you were doing like if you were doing like, I don't know, 5 or 10 week sessions with the same group, people can turn up there, they can tell you their symbols that are meaningful to them about whatever, and you tell a little story, a little fairy tale, a little journey, and you start to pop those symbols in. That can be really cool as well. Again, it's really, really straightforward. But if you are, it's important at this point, when you do a lecture demo, you start off and you give people a bit of conscious information. And you're doing pacing and leading as you're going there, but in essence you'll give them a little fact, a little snippet. You will link that to the overall kind of thing that they're interested in. So this is Esdale, this is what he can do, and if he can do that, he can help with headaches. So let me show you now how easy it is to enjoy a nice hypnotic trance. And it's as simple as that. You'll move into that nice and quickly. So you can see the actual content that you need to know. It's not a lot. Really, honestly, it's a couple of minutes there. And then you can go in and you can do that. Now, you'll eventually build up a repertoire of stories, or you'll start to do this enough and be confident enough that you can just allow your unconscious mind to just provide the right story and the right metaphor at the time, and you will trust that, and you will accept that and you will develop that. And that's really nice, because that really is an Ericksonian way of working. That's a real cool way of trusting your unconscious mind. I recommend when you're doing that you can say, as long as you keep your eyes closed, you will find yourself going deeper and deeper into this wonderful relaxed state and enjoy this experience even more deeply. So then you've got a suggestion for them to keep their eyes closed. That honestly is going to give you even more confidence, because now people have got no reason to try and sneak a peek or open their eyes and have a look around. But, I mean, they still can, of course, if they want to, but you know, you can feel very, very confident doing this. And you'll be able to keep an eye on time, so you'll control this. So, you know, 20 minutes is a nice kind of segment for this. I mean, it can be less, it can be more. 20 minutes is quite a nice time to do. If you're getting people up on, if you want to get people up and you want to give a demonstration in front of the group, this is really, really easy to do. First of all, as a group, you're going to get everybody to do finger vice, hands together, and the fingers will start to come together, and that's right, and relax. And you're going to see, you're going to be observing people and have that experience. Then you're going to say, well, how do people find that? Who found their fingers coming really quickly? Now you're going to look around the room, pay attention to those people, put their hands up. The people who are beaming, who are like, their minds are blown. They're doing magnetic hands coming together, going together. Oh, that's right. Very good. Now you can do that in a group, or you can, I mean, or if you've got a group there, you could keep those ones to one side for the person who's going to come up, and just simply do the book and balloon with them. I mean, book and balloon is like about, there's just nothing that can go wrong with doing the book and balloon. It's a real cool one to do. So, you know, you have them like that. So, well, look, I want you to put your left arm up, palm up. I want your right arm out with the hand facing down. And I want you to just close your eyes. And I want you to imagine your left hand that you've got a pile of heavy books, a pile of, 10 leather-bound heavy books, putting down. And then the right-hand side, that's right, there's 10 helium balloons attached to your elbow, 10 helium balloons attached to your shoulder, 10 helium balloons attached to each finger. That's right, pulling it up, and down in the other, down. That's right, going down deeper. That's right. That left hand's really going down as that right arm's going up. That's right. It's happening without any effort at all. And just stop and open your eyes. All right. So you're going to be more directed as you're doing that. That's quite cool. But to be honest, I think I fall into quite the suggestible category anyway. But as you're doing that, you're going to use a much more kind of direct tone of voice. And if you do that in the group, who are you going to get up there to do the demo with? Okay, you're going to get the people. You're going to pick somebody like that who is just like looking there and who's amazed. If somebody's, if it's a smaller move, you can do, but you could do one or two little compliance things like that as well. In fact, even before you do that, you could say, well, look, stand up for a moment. You want to see the people who stand up immediately and take a deep breath. That's right. Maybe just make sure you get a bit of space to take a step forward. You're going to be observing those people anyway. So if they're compliant at that point and then they get a good result with book and balloon, then you can very comfortably get them up on stage, do the finger vice, do magnetic fingers, do the handshake induction, and then of course sleep. And of course it's always, if you're doing a demonstration on stage, you always want it to be sleep, because that's what's expected. That's the social construct that people expect. The hypnotist on stage hypnotizing somebody, that's really going to be meeting their expectations. So we've done the video, we've done a whole segment on compliance and also how to be able to do all the convincers. So that's why we cover that, because by the time you come to your lecture demos, you know all those kind of things can come together now. You understand how to use states, you understand how to use stories, you understand how to do the convincers. And by the way, my practice, I've mentioned this before, but my practice and the results I get with clients absolutely skyrocket. I mean, it was always good, but having running through and doing the convincers, even just doing the finger vice at the beginning, what happens is the clients immediately start saying to you, this is incredible, I can't believe that happened. And of course, this is typically what we hope they will say once we've done our brilliant hypnosis session with them. But all too often, they've changed. We've done great work with them, but they'll say things like, well, I'm not sure I was hypnotized, or well, I can still hear your voice. Even if you've given the pre-talk, even if you've told them to you're blue in the face, they're still saying that. So if you do these convincers up front, what happens is then, of course, you can link that and say, well, look, you saw how quickly your fingers came together there. You had this thought and your fingers came together straight away. Imagine when we do the hypnosis, how powerful that's going to be. And they're like, that was incredible. I I can't believe it. I cannot believe that happened. And you, of course, you can look at them and go, well, did you know that was going to happen? They're like, no, it just happened. And you'll see this, you'll see that bit of their mind has been switched, the switch has been flipped to, oh my God, this is working. This is absolutely working for me. It's a beautiful way to work. So, but one of the other benefits of doing that with every client who comes through is when you come to do the lecture demos, you are lecture demo ready. Okay, you've done that so many times. It's not that you're complacent. It's not that you're nonchalant. Far from it. You go with that with full 100% attention. It's just that you know the sequence and the patterns so well that you can deliver that in a very masterful way. So that is the lecture demo. Arouse interest, give them something of information, give them something of interest, tell them some fascinating piece of information related to that area, then link it to the overall theme, link it to the fact that, if he can chop the arms off, then you can, and people can be okay with that and get better, then hypnosis can definitely help you manage your back pain. And then go in and just give them a nice trance experience, real simple. Start off with a little group one if you want to just do something really nice and easily. And go through with that kind of certainty there. You are not looking to impress the boots off everyone there. Some people love you, some won't. It doesn't matter, but you give them an experience. Then they obviously you then finish that segment. Typically, there will either be a little break or people will be having sort of, the UK a tea and scones afterwards. But what you're going to do at the end of that is you're going to give an invitation. You're going to say that, thank you very much. I hope you really enjoyed doing that. Really enjoyed that experience of trance. It was fun, wasn't it? And you'll be able to see people smiling and looking at each other and so forth. And at that point, if there is a break or if people are hanging around after there's some social thing, that's great. But what I typically do is I'll say to people, look, I'm going to be hanging around here afterwards. So if you want to come up and have a bit of a natter or you want to come and ask me anything, please do. I'm absolutely happy to do that. Or I can let them know that I'll also probably do this as well, is to just say, look, I also want you to know that I've got a free MP3 that's available. So this is a recording on how to lose weight, or this is a recording on how to manage pain using hypnosis. It's normally £30, but you can get this for the next 24 hours only. If you go to my website here, and I'll have it on a flyer or I'll write it down for them, you can just pop in your name and your email, you can download it free of charge. But that's only available for people who've come here today, and it's only available for the next 24 hours. So I can do that. Why am I doing that? Well, I'm going to use the principle of perceived scarcity, because we know from Cialdini's principles that that's going to motivate people. I could offer them a free ebook on how to manage pain, but I just want you to know there's a free book on my website. If you go to managingpainwithhypnosis.co.uk, but I don't have the website, but you'll tell me if you go there now, within the next 24 hours, you can download that for free. Or how about this? You can just let them know that you offer free consultation. So you can say, well, look, if you've really enjoyed today, just to let you know that I offer a free consultation. So if anyone's interested, I'll be hanging around afterwards. Please come and take one of my business cards. And if you're interested, give me a call. We'll have a free consultation. Or perhaps a family member or friend who has a fear or phobia, wants to lose weight, or has some problem with pain. Please give them my business card. Just let them know that they can have a free consultation with me. So you are going to, one way or the other, you want to just let them know that you're hanging around afterwards. You'll be available to answer questions, and give them an invitation. So please come up and talk to me. If you're interested in finding out more information, very happy to give you a business card. And by the way, I also offer a free consultation. If you do happen to have if you are well set up enough to have a little MP3 recording on your site, we're going to have a whole session, by the way, on just how to produce recordings, because the actual marketing of that stuff online, marketing products and services or marketing, and making money online from MP3s is an area that's outside really the scope of this. However, a lot of people think that it's tricky to do those recordings. And of course, what I do is when my clients come in, I will record the session for them. So I record that so we can take that away. But then I've also got a product. So if somebody comes in for claustrophobia, then we'll do that. I'll record that. There's nothing, there's obviously no personal information about them on there. It's me recording that live. But why do we just want to have that as a one-off, session? No, everyone can benefit from that. Now I've got that recording. And literally you can do that using a £23 pair of headphones, any kind of laptop, and a free piece of software called Audacity, some open source software that you can download. It works on Mac, it works on PCs as well. So I will show you how to do that, because I think it's just really, I'll show you how to set that up in your session too, so that clients are expecting that before you come, they'll expect it when you're there, and you'll be able to record it and have a product ready at the end. So you can add extra value to your client there, but then you've got this product. Then of course you can have it on your website, or you can give people your email address as part of the invitation, so that this is my email. For anyone who's interested, for the next 24 hours, if you contact me by the end of Friday, I will send you a link so you can download a professional recording of how to manage pain with hypnosis. You'll be able to download that to your smartphone or your computer, or burn it to CD. Normally this retails at £30. You can have this free of charge. You just make sure that you email me by Friday to let me know. So this is cool. You can give an invitation at this point. There's no hard sell, and of course you'll thank the audience at the end. If you do hang around, what you're going to do afterwards, and maybe they've got tea or coffee, or perhaps they're going to go for a drink, this is a perfect time for you to really seal the deal. We've spoken about this before, but when people are having food and drink and they're in company, then their defenses are down. They feel nice and relaxed. They feel comfortable. They can just really enjoy that scenario. And it's a really nice time where you can properly get to know each other. And what I suggest is, if you're staying there afterwards, you go up and you actively will go up to meet people. So, it will be very useful for you to have some business cards on you. You should always keep some on you. There we go. I think we've got the call now for a free consultation on there as well. But if you're there and you see other people around, go up to them and say, "Oh, hi, I'm Richard. I'm a hypnotic consultant. I hope you enjoyed today. So what's your name? Oh, great. Okay, it's really nice to meet you." And if they start saying, "Oh, look, I'm really interested in this, and I've got an aunt who has back pain, that might be of help, might be of use to her," and say, "Well, look, offer her something. Say, well, look, I've got this free recording. Why don't you, if I give you my business card, why don't you get her to give me a call? You can either swap cards, you can take details, but hand them one of your business cards. Take one out. Give them a business card. If they have if they're happy to give you a number or their number, then just simply make sure you follow up on it. But this is a wonderful thing you can do during the break. I know in Alex Smith's Secrets of Hypnotic Success, he has a whole kind of thing where he'll go up and he'll give people like a key ring. He'll say, "Oh, have you got your keys on you there?" And they'll take it off, and he'll put a key ring on their key ring that's got his, it's like a business card, but it's actually a key ring, and so they've got that there with them. That's a really cool thing you can do. But you know what? You need to be proactive. And so if you've got people that go up and introduce yourself, "Hi, I'm Richard. Yeah, and oh, did you enjoy the talk today? Oh, that's wonderful. Is hypnosis something you're interested in?" And just let them tell you. If they express an interest, or they know anyone who has pain or whatever, they will let you know. They'll say, "Well, look, my son is suffering from this. Do you think you can help?" I mean, I gave a talk at Cardiff Uni a few weeks ago. When I was at Cardiff University, let's say one of the groups had about 20 people. There must have been at least 4 of them afterwards who came up to ask about confidence, hypnosis for confidence, being in front of groups. One person had sort of stress and sort of anxiety issues. So people will come up to you. And so it's really cool if you hang around there, if they've got a tea break or something like that. Go and socialise, go and introduce yourself. "Oh, how are you doing?" Just take an interest in the other person. And if they happen to mention that they have somebody or know somebody who suffers from something, they say, "Well, do you think that would be of help for them?" You say, "Well, yes, I do. I think it would be. Would you like one of my business cards? Because if you take that, then you can just let them know that they can have a free consultation." This is a really nice thing to do, because now you've got somebody who's seen you, who will vouch for you, you can actually give them a card and get them to call you. Of course, if you're even more proactive, you can swap details. Perhaps they've got a business card, and so you can follow up with them that way. So that can be really good. Or you can, if they're happy for you to take their number down, because they're interested in following up with hypnosis, get their number, put it in your mobile phone, and arrange with them a time. Even put it in the diary. Well, look, when would be the best time to give you a call? And you do it in a matter-of-fact, kind of casual way. You're not trying to, by the way, do this with everyone. What you are trying to do is go around to everyone, give them a nice experience of you, keep adding value, keep giving them part of that experience that you're a hypnotist, you're a professional, you are somebody who is kind and generous with your time, and so allow them to drink of the well of good feeling and good vibrations. And later on, if they know somebody, and when they know somebody who needs to see a professional in the field, who are they going to think of? They're going to think of you, because you gave them a fantastic experience there. And that experience, of course, matched what was of interest to them, because when you approach the different organizations, when you took time to phone up and contact, if you were doing weight loss, you were contacting the gyms and those type of organizations. When you took time to contact those organizations and phone them up and ask if they, when they had the next availability for a speaker to come in and talk to that group, you took time to find out, well, look, do you mind me asking what kind of, what sort of type of, audience do you have there? What sort of age are they? What are they interested in? What kind of problems they have? What would they really like to know about? I'm a hypnotist and I specialize in sort of, and I specialize in, helping people make changes. What is it that's of real interest to your members? And of course, if they say, well, a lot of them have aches and pains, well, that's what you're going to tell them. Oh, that's fantastic, because, I do a lot of work with aches and pains. When would be a good time for me to come and talk to them? So you find out who the audience are, who they are, what the problems are that they're having, so that then when you prepare for it, the preparation is all geared towards that audience, and then you go there and you give a wonderful performance for them, a wonderful experience for them. So therefore, really, perhaps their first encounter with a hypnotist is a really positive one. It's a positive experience where they've actually had something, they've had an experience of hypnosis, and they can go and they can tell their friends and their family about it. Well, it was really cool. I closed my eyes and I don't know, I just started to feel quite good inside. And of course, that's really wonderful for the industry, because we all benefit from that. It's very, very simple. It starts with that preparation, of course, for yourself. Your chest will be up, you'll be relaxed, you'll be reminding yourself of why you got into this field, what you love about it, why you're so passionate about it, the difference that you're going to be making to the people there. You imagine that inside your mind. So your physiology is comfortable and strong. You do a strong opening, you take them through that, you deliver the lecture demo, which is as simple as telling a little story and then linking that story to and showing how, if that can happen, then imagine what hypnosis can do for your problem. And then you'll go into that simple little trance. Start off, by all means, if you want, just do the group trances, because with the 3C, 3S method, remember, you close your eyes, complex equivalence, use cause effect, then you will be telling stories, helping manage their state, and you'll be slowing down your voice. Now, of course, you could even count down, couldn't you? Because people know, everyone knows, a hypnotist will say sleep, but they'll also say, as I count down now, with each number that I say, you go deeper inside. So again, you can do that. It's really, really simple. And then make sure at the end that you have some kind of invitation for them. Hey, look, I'm going to be staying around at the end. Please come and ask me if you've got any questions about hypnosis, or whether it could help out with any kind of problem that you have, or anyone in your family or a friend that you know. Please do come and have a chat. I'm going to be hanging around. I'd love to come. I'd love to find out what you thought of today, and I'm here to answer any questions that you have. So now you've put that invitation out, they can come and talk to you. And as you see people there, you'll go up and introduce yourself to them. You'll get used to doing that, because honestly, from a sort of a networking, just a confidence point of view, from a point of view of getting to know people and building relationships, you need to be that person who is proactive. All the people who I've seen who have been very successful in doing this, they make the effort to be proactive. They'll introduce themselves to other people. They're taking interest in them. They're going to seek to add something of value. If that person says, "Oh, I'm looking to do this," if you can make a suggestion, if you can give them something positive up front, that's what you're going to do. You are not trying to book them. You're not trying to get money off them. You're not trying to do whatever. You're just there to carry on giving them that positive experience. So this is a real nice system. I think you can see how easy this is, and a real nice way to approach giving presentations, because it takes away the stress. You're thinking constantly about the audience. You're imagining what you can do for them, because one of the main principles, and we had a whole module on this, on adding value and thinking about how you can add value to people, because this is fundamental. When you come from that frame of reference, you don't start thinking about, oh, can I get the sale, or what will people think of me? No, you're looking to serve, you're looking to add value, you're constantly thinking, what information, what extra thing can I do here that's going to be of benefit to this audience? So please, this is real simple, this is fun. If you remember to focus on your audience, just use your physiology, turn up, give them introduce yourself with a strong opening. Give them a reason why they should be there, what it is that you're doing, so they know up front. Just introduce that, take them down the yes steps, give them a little vignette of just kind of what's coming up. Then into your, if Estelle can do this, then this is what we can do. The trance, the offer, that invitation, and then a thank you. It's really cool. It's really easy. There's a system called Format. It's I think it's written with the number 4 MAT by Bernice McCarthy. I promised I would mention that, so we'll just finish on that. This kind of uses that system. It's a really easy way of thinking about structuring the talks that you do. And this was something that's introduced to me on NLP Trainers Training by John and Julie back in the day. It's a really cool way of thinking about things. You can read about it online, but in essence, there are 4 quadrants when you're doing trainings and talks and presentations. There's the quadrant of, why. So you'll give some reasons up front why people should pay attention. Now, the whole kind of thinking behind this is that some people are more interested in the reasons why, some people are more interested in the factual what, some people need the practical doing, and some people need the hypothetical what ifs. And so if you start off giving reasons why the information is useful, what it can do for people, that gets people interested. And then if you go into the factual content of what it is, the actual nuts and bolts, that will interest more people. Then if you give them a demonstration or some kind of experience, which of course we do in the trance, then people have that. And then the what if bit, there will be people who go through all of that, and they'll say, well, that's cool, but what if, I don't know, I was suffering from anxiety? How could hypnosis help me? Because how would I get that relaxed? Because I feel so anxious. How am I going to be able to get relaxed enough to be able to get benefit from hypnosis? And so, of course, well, that's a great question. There are loads. Let me tell you, there are lots of different types of hypnosis. This is just one of them here that's suitable for the group. But when you come to see me, I show you other types of hypnosis, and I make sure it's tailored for you. So you can, there are wonderful ways in which you can start to approach this and think about it and conceptualize it. And we kind of use that in the background, that kind of format system of the why and the reasons, both a conscious why and an unconscious why, the what, which is what we're doing. We're giving people an experience, and then we're going to hang around at the end so people can ask, well, what about this and what about that? And do you do this and can you handle that? So we're there, we're nice, we're personable, we're very grateful for the invitations that we have. This can so easily be tailored for interviews, because of course when you go for an interview, you may or may not have much time to prep on that. but you know, they're asking you about something that you're there. So you can think about being fascinated why you got into this. You can think about fascinating other people. Of course, you'll change your physiology and you'll turn up and you'll just talk. It's just like you're having a chat with somebody who's fascinated, like a friend of yours who says, oh, I'm really interested in hypnosis. Just tell me a little bit more. And you know, and you're just having that chat from that state of fascination. It's easy, it's simple, it's comfortable to do. If you know it's going to be a longer interview, like a sort of a 1 hour one specifically, like on certain aspects, then you can do a little bit of prep as well, absolutely. But you'll also have in the back of your mind, well, who are the audience, who's going to be listening, what sort of things they're interested in, and then of course you can make sure that you tailor what you're talking about so it's directly relevant to them, so it speaks to them. And yeah, and this is really cool. So thank you so much for joining me today. I've really enjoyed sharing this. This took me a very, very long time to figure out. I got bits from various people and from different trainers and trainings I did. And this is very simple. It's very straightforward. It works wonderfully now, because whenever I'm called upon to deliver a training or to develop it, it's very straightforward for me, because I can think in terms of the audience. I know exactly how I'm going to deliver it. We can, even if it was like a longer training throughout a day, I will still use this type of approach for it, and I will simply break it into smaller segments throughout the day. Different, instead of maybe the trance each time, there'll be perhaps group activities, and then people will come back and we'll have a Q&A, which is obviously the what if part of it. But tomorrow is going to be a really, really cool time. Tomorrow, and we're probably going to do it tomorrow morning, actually quite early. Tomorrow is going to be how to write a press release, and I'm going to aim for us to do a press release together in about 20 minutes, of actual writing time. We may take a little bit longer to do that. So we're going to go in, I'm going to give you some background there, get your mind in that space where ideas are starting to flow really quickly, and then we're going to knock out a draft really quickly, because remember, there is no such thing as perfect writing, only perfect or excellent editing. All right, there's no such thing as perfect writing. You just get stuff down as quick as you can and do the editing later. So we're going to talk about that. But once you know how to do lecture demos, once you know how to confidently do press releases and do them regularly, you have two wonderful strands where you can really build on the business of hypnosis, the business of marketing, and just start to really position yourself even more as that expert that you are, so that there are more people who will know about you, more people can benefit from what you do, because more people have heard about you, more people have had that experience of you personally, and they start to, as a result, of course, you start to build a relationship with them, they start to trust you. And if you're there and you can confidently speak in front of groups, it really creates a wonderful impression of you as the credible authority figure. And of course, when you start appearing on radio and TV, when you start getting articles in your local paper, as often as you want, because you're doing this consistently, then that's another wonderful thing you can do. And of course, the beautiful things from a marketing point of view is these are free of charge. You don't need a budget for this. You just need a little bit of thought, a little bit of time. So you're going to have the same as you've got here. You're going to have a real, very clear strategy in terms of how to get in the right state and how to actually write your press releases exactly in the same way that you've got for how to deliver a lecture demo now. So now you know that you can go anywhere at any time, make a connection with a group of people, with your marketing head on, add value, add service to them, stay confident, have a strong physiology, and really enjoy that experience and totally inspire people. Leave them better off, which means they're more likely to have a positive association to hypnosis, which means they're more likely to consider that in future, which means they're more likely to tell other people about it, which means that you are an excellent, outstanding ambassador for our industry. So thank you so much for joining me here today. I'm Rich, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Cheers. Bye-bye.